Hello and welcome to the Bike Show once again, a programme that celebrates bikes and biking. And this week we have a good old-fashioned bike that likes petrol, a bike that I've even thought about buying myself, a bike that has been hugely important for its manufacturer, and this new version promises to improve on an already successful formula.
The MT-09 has been a bit of a revelation for Yamaha ever since it was first announced. And at that stage, the head of Yamaha Europe came out and said that Yamaha need more exciting bikes in their lineup, hence the MT-09. And of course, this was music to my ears because excitement, I mean, that's why we're in motorcycling. It seems to have been music to everyone else's ears too, because ever since then, the MT-09 has been near the top of the Yamaha top seller list. Now, there's a new MT-09, and things are going to get a lot more exciting-er. And to make things even more exciting, this is the SP version of the MT-09. And just look at it. For 2021, they've gone even more minimalistic, with even less bodywork, making it even more naked. There's the sharp new LED headlight, and the SP model has that midnight paint job and that luxury seat. The overall impression is one of intimidation, violence even. And we haven't even started moving yet. Oh yeah, that's a lot of excitingness. For 2021, the MT-09 keeps the inline triple format, but has lengthened the stroke, thereby increasing the capacity from 847cc to 889. And with this, the horsepower goes up from 113 to 117, plus the torque is up to 93 Newton meters. You see, the thing people get wrong about modern day motorcycles is, I mean, it's not a lot more horsepower on the top end, but with the more stroke, what it does is it gives you a lot more everywhere else. The top end only has a bit more horsepower, but the mid-range has stacks and stacks. I mean, just from anywhere, you just open the throttle and boom, power, lots of it. And don't forget, they've still got that noise, that triple sound. It's amazing. Yes! The MT-09 also has some new gadgetry, seemingly swapped from the R1 Superbike department. There's a new ride-by-wire throttle connected to a new 6-axis IMU. With that comes new traction control, wheelie control, cornering ABS, and up and down quick shifter. Okay, in modern times where dashes look like giant, basically they're flat screen TVs stuck on the front of a motorcycle, this thing is a bit kind of behind. But you know what? I think the way this thing is like a kind of machine, a tool. I think a big flat screen TV on the front of the motorcycle would kind of spoil it a little bit. So I'm okay with this dash. Everything I need is there. It all looks good enough, and I'm happy with that. All the controls are here. There's a little like roller dial over here. That's easy enough to use. You push buttons over here, push buttons over there, and everything sort of works. It's quite sort of easy to use. Other things, of course, you notice here is it's got an auto blip. Oh, that's always fun. And then a quick shifter. We've had those for years, and I still giggle like a little kid every time we use one. Now, it's got a new ride-by-wire throttle, and the previous MT-09 was accused of being kind of snappy, and it was. You know, you open the throttle and it was sort of hit you like a boot. This is a lot better. It's a lot smoother. A lot smoother, but at the same time, still not perfect. It's still got its sort of snatchiness, and you know what? I'd be disappointed if it was completely smooth, because the snatchiness gives it a bit of life. It does. And then, of course, there's also the other party piece on the SP version, which is cruise control, which means you don't have to hold the throttle hand. You should probably be holding with this hand, though. And this is a good thing when you're cruising on a bike like this, especially with a lot of wind resistance. It's nice to take a bit of a break. That's the looks, motor and technology out of the way.
We now get on to what has always been the MT-09's biggest downfall, the handling.
Yeah, on the previous MT-09, it sort of felt like Yamaha was only really interested in the engine, and well, the chassis and the frame and all that was sort of just, it was like something to keep the wheels on, really. And it gave it this very floaty feeling on the front. It felt like the front was sort of disconnected from the rest of the bike. So you were going to corners and get this very kind of washy feeling from the front, and it was a bit, I'll be honest, it was really disconcerting. Even riding around town and just ordinary road, I mean, not even getting to track, it didn't really inspire confidence.
That's why Yamaha have given the chassis a complete makeover. The frame has been redesigned and is stiffer, plus, and this is a big one, the front end has been lowered by 30 millimeters.
30 millimeters. I mean, in engineering terms, that's like, it's a lot.
More so, the SP model has been equipped with adjustable KYB forks and an Öhlins rear shock.
Despite 30 millimeters lower, it still feels motardy, so I'm still kind of like upright, which is cool for traffic and it gives you a lot of confidence. But now when I pitch it into a corner, oh, there we go. Yeah, it feels like the front end is actually part of the motorcycle. I can feel what's going on. I'm confident. It's sort of doing what I want. It doesn't feel like it wants to do its own thing. It feels like I'm in control. That's a huge improvement. That's a massive improvement. And I haven't ridden the standard MT-09, so I don't really know how much of this is that KYB forks and Öhlins shock, but from what I hear, the standard one feels just as good. This feels really, really good. Also, what's so nice about this motor is when you open the throttle, it's fast and powerful enough to actually light a fire, yet not so much to sort of scare you. So you could still happily just wring its neck.
The MT-09 has drastically improved for 2021, so much so that I think it has entered an entirely new category.
You know, with the wayward handling on the previous MT-09, I always sort of regard it as more like a kind of commuter sort of bike, as a bike you're going to take through town to ride to work on without any sort of real cornering in that, because it just wasn't capable. So it was like a sports commuter, is what I sort of thought of it as. This bike is not a sports commuter. You could commute on it, it's absolutely fantastic, but if you want to get out to the roads like this, or you want to get around a track, it can do it now. It can do it. This is no longer just a commuter. This is a sports bike. It's a thoroughbred sports bike. And I think some of the other naked sports bikes must be careful.
I grabbed myself a quick ride on the new MT-09 at a dealer here in France, and I have to agree with everything Don has said. I always enjoyed the previous version, but I never loved it. I certainly wouldn't have taken it for a trip to the mountains because its handling never really encouraged you to get a bit mad and go for it. This version feels much more connected, planted. Enjoying a bike in the corners means you simply have to have total trust and faith in the front end, and to do that, it needs to communicate with you, let you know what's going on down there. That might sound a bit new age, with all the feelings, yeah, but it's true. And it's also true that this new bike has got those feelings, so it's a bike that likes to be thrashed. And that engine is better than ever, and it was always good. Interestingly, unlike some manufacturers, the differences between the standard and the SP model don't include any changes to the engine. Good news if you like to wheelie, because this bike most definitely does. The SP version gets different paint, better forks, an Öhlins shock at the rear, a comfier seat apparently, and cruise control, and a polished swing arm instead of a black one. In Europe, that means you pay 11,000 euros instead of 9,500, and it seems like an amount worth paying. A 25,000 Rand premium you could live with, I think. Unfortunately, in South Africa, the price difference, for some reason, is double that at 50,000 Rand. At least that makes it an easy decision. You should definitely not bother and take the standard version, whose suspension is still more than up to the job of letting you enjoy the bike, which at 180,000 Rand, according to Yamaha's website, makes it a very, very good package for the money. I've been looking at buying a bike over here in France, and I've been trying to decide between a Triumph Street Triple RS and KTM's Duke 890R. But I am finding it hard, very hard, to ignore the MT-09 and the fantastic value that it offers. I'll be using it on the road, no track days because they cost a fortune over here, and so the extra handling panache of those two other bikes can't really be justified given their extra cost. And I think I'll go for the grey with orange accents and wheels. It looks great. Though, to be fair, the blue and grey also looks pretty good. Both look better, I think, than the SP, which only comes in the one colour. Yeah, no doubt about it, Yamaha's MT-09 is certainly more of an enticing proposition than it's ever been, that's for sure. Equally sure is that we'll be back after this short break.